Republican Anthony Rogers has no previous political experience.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and right now you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey y'all, this is Kevin from Candlebox. You are listening to the funny man, Anthony Rogers.
Hey, my name is Alex Sulkin, writer of Ted and Family Guy, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show. Lucky you.
We are Highest Conspiracy, live and on direct. This song is called Music is the Medicine, right here on
Anthony Rogers, best damn podcast
in the blood clot world. Lyrics to greet, music all around for all our relations. The massive is the healing of the nation. Music is the medicine, medicine. Music is the medicine, medicine. Music is the medicine, medicine. Music is the medicine, medicine.
Wipes away all the feels. We turn the 9 to 5 on the ride, just the vibe. We come to co-create this for our soul sing. Taking the medicine, the music flows from there. Taking the medicine, the music flows from there. We're thanking God for His blessing, for turning words into medicine. We're gonna show you how we do it. Swat! Yeah!
medicine. Music is the medicine, the medicine. Music is the medicine, the medicine. Music is the medicine, the medicine. Music is the medicine, 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 medicine.
Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today we have co-host Nadia North.
Hello.
And a guest I'm finding out with you guys about Jerry Pope, legend of like several industries. It looked like when I looked you up, man. Like Chippendale Dancer. She brought my attention to that. I thought that was good. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you, Anthony?
Good, man. Good. She sent a picture of you as a guest, and you had like this. Your like six pack was insane. I felt hideous as soon as I saw. I'm like, man. I'm like in Missouri. I'm like good looking. I feel like, you know. And then I saw your picture. I'm like, what the fuck? This dude's so ripped. It's like insane.
He literally said your six pack has a six pack. I started cracking up.
Oh damn! I've been to lay off the potato chips. I've gotten a little lazy over the last couple of weeks.
That's hilarious, man. So, Nadia was telling me you were a Chippendale dancer.
Yeah, well, you know, once upon a time, from 2005 to right around 2010, I worked with the company.
So that was back when it was like the real Chippendales. Like you guys had to audition and everything else, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was the. They had a nationwide tour. That really, I mean, they were global back then. They had a show in Vegas that was like a stationary deal. They had the East Coast Chippendales, which was I was part of that, and they had the West Coast Chippendales. So we basically split from the Mississippi, 25 states east, 25 states west, and then we took half of Canada, and I was part of the group that went over to Europe as well.
Dude, that's awesome. That's crazy, man. It's like what are some like what's like a perspective like only you would have from this? Like what's like some crazy shit that happened like fans or something like what? I mean, he's like you probably have like what like probably have like MILF groupies around the world now from traveling with that brand.
Yeah, let me open this window up here real fast.
Sure, for sure.
So I can get some air. It was like wintertime here yesterday. I was walking around in a sweatshirt in the day at summertime, so the AC didn't quite cool it down up here for me. But yeah, you know, I got all kinds of crazy stories. It just depends upon what level you would like me to take it to here on your show. So I don't know what all I can say or what I
you
can't
say whatever
say.
you want, man. I'm just I like that. That's like energy the Beatles had, but it's like way more crazy probably. You know, I just imagine like stripping having a way crazier fan base than like music or something. I was just like seeing, like, do you have like stalkers? Like people like stalk you for this and shit?
We had a lot of women that would caravan across country to see us, and some of them were really sweet and nice women, and some of them really creeped me out.
You know what I noticed is like they seem to be a lot more aggressive at the male review shows. Like girls are kind of brutal, like for $1 and stuff, and they'll like grab onto the guys. And featuring, I'm not used to that. Yeah, featuring like with me, you wouldn't see that, you know. So I kind of feel bad sometimes for the guys. The girls are like, "Woo," you know.
Yeah, there didn't seem like many rules. Like I feel like the rules are different, probably. Huh? Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it
That's
seems
crazy.
like it. I mean, you can correct me, but were the girls pretty aggressive?
Yeah, well, you know, women think that they can get by with, you know, grabbing your ass and, you know, pulling your hair and all that stuff. Where if like a guy went into a female strip club, you know, in a feature, you was on stage and tried to do that, you know, he'd get bounced out the club on his head. Where women, you know, they think that, you know, they can get by with it because we're guys that were, you know, not going to say anything. And for the most part, just as long as they weren't like too super aggressive, you know, which it did happen. I've had my hair pulled out. I've been bitten. I've had nails run down my back and, you know, draw blood and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was definitely like, all right, you know, it's time to chill out with some of this stuff here, ladies, because there was definitely a certain line where, you know, it's fun and it's cute, and where it's like, all right, you've had a little too much to drink and you need to turn it down some here. I had to say that a couple times to women. I'm sure some other guys had as well.
I bet. How many guys were with you?
Between 8 and 10 was, you know, what we had out on the road back then.
Was there like signature moves in case Anthony wants to learn them later?
I think that would be for another type of a show.
Right.
But yeah, you know, we had, I guess you call them signature moves, that we had choreographed acts that we had to learn to, you know, actually be in the show. And, you know, when you're done your hot seats, or you was kind of like freestyling, you know, during your own set, which is basically like after the main acts, we got to do a hot seat set where the women would come up on the stage and they'd pay $25 per lap dance, and you give them, you know, like a little 60-second dance. And, you know, every guy kind of had his own little thing. You know, I kept it clean and classy. I didn't, you know, a lot of guys do like the flying 69 where they would flip the girl upside down and her crotch would be in my face and my face would be in her crotch, you know, type of a deal, and be bouncing across the stage. I mean,
Flying 69
I'm
is
sure
such
I
a
probably done
superhero
that at
move.
some point in time.
It's crazy.
But, you know, I try to keep it as clean up there as I could, especially in some areas, because, you know, some of these places we was going to, like through Tennessee, and, you know, the Bible Belt area, the liquor board, the ABC liquor board is what it was called, would show up at a lot in Michigan. It happened a couple places too. And they were kind of sitting there, you know, Bible thumping the whole time. And we actually had a group show up and protest our show. I guess they just didn't know what we was going to be doing. They thought we would be in there, you know, doing something different than what we was. They seen the show and they were like, hey, you know what? This was choreographed. It was, you know, it was a classy show, and, you know, we had a wrong impression of you guys, and this was, you know, this was actually okay. We're sitting there like, all right, well, we're glad you approved, but, you know, whatever.
But it sounds like it was everybody's wives going, and the dudes are just like, "Fuck this." Like that's like that's what they're like. Like if my wife was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with like these like 7 dudes that are just like naked," you'd be like, "What the?" It's probably the entire town's probably like that. It's probably where a lot of that came from. I imagine.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you know exactly. They probably thought we was gonna, you know, try to, you know, have sex with their wives on stage or something like that, and, you know, that was the farthest thing from actually, you know, what went down during the show.
No, yeah, it's
Flying 69. That just sounds like a crazy movie. I'm like envisioning this in my head.
It sounds like a wrestler's like finisher, like the Flying 69.
Yeah, I know. Well, it looked like a pile driver with the girl's head between your legs, so it could have been turned into a wrestling move if you dropped her, for sure.
That's crazy. So what time frame was this? Like that you did all that stuff?
What time frame? Meaning?
Like what? Like 90s or something, or like that's what I was trying to guess.
Well, you know, I started in the late 90s, like right out of high school.
That's a totally different generation. That's just totally different than today. Like it's gotta be crazy. Like he's like today it's like what I mean today we have like I think porn's like way more mainstream, and just so that made like everything else more mainstream. I think, but like the 90s that was like probably edgy as fuck at the time. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, and it still is to it still is to a degree. I'm not saying, but like that was probably crazy for the 90s. Like what'd your like parents think of that shit? Were they like on board? Were they like, what the fuck, you know? Or was it like?
Yeah. So, you know, I caught my big break with Chippendales around 2005. But, you know, figure out how old I am if you want to do the math. Like 98, right out of high school. I met some girls that were dancers at a local club here in Cincinnati, where I'm from the area. And, you know, I was driving for them, basically like kind of running security. And then, you know, I kind of fell into the whole dancing part. They were short guys one night, and I didn't even want to be, you know, a male dancer. I was around and watching the girls get naked and, you know, making like $20 a show or whatever it was that, you know, I was making on the side, and telling my buddies about my weekend. You know, at the time that was cool. So like probably around, you know, like 2000, which I was about 19, 20. You know, I started, you know, doing more parties, and then I started working the local male review circuit, you know, and being a personal trainer through the week, and just kind of having some fun with it, being, you know, really young and not really knowing, you know, what I was really going to be, you know, looking forward to in the years to come, or how far we go. I mean, you know, 2 decades, you know, I was at it for 20 years, and I still have women from, you know, 15, 16 years ago that follow me on Facebook and like my pics and wish me happy birthday and all that stuff. So I mean, I guess I must have left some kind of an impression, you know, on some of these women and people. People, you know, still ask me about it. Even like, you know, later on, I got into acting and I done, you know, a decent amount of mainstream work.
I saw that.
And people that know me or knew me from before or whatever, or you know, somebody tells them about me and like, oh, he was an actor, and you know, which I still do acting. I don't dance really as much these days. The main thing that comes up more than anything else is my Chippendale days. People ask me about that, and it's like, that was 12 years ago, and you know, I feel like I've done a whole lot more since. But I don't mind talking about it. I think it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess I must have done something right. But my parents, they were cool about it. At first, they didn't know or understand what it really was, or what I was doing exactly. And you know, I sat down and told them like, hey, this, you know, it's just parties, it's just girls. You know, my whole clientele and, you know, crowd fan base has always been females. And you know, if you dance for guys, that's fine, that's your thing. It's not my thing personally. But you know, I mean, I was a young guy and I wanted to, you know, meet girls, and what better way to do that? I mean, I was already going out to the clubs and paying to get in and paying for drinks and trying to get numbers. And, you know, I was pretty lucky and fortunate to get into the business when I did. And, you know, I seen the whole thing kind of progress and develop as far as, you know, the internet, and then, you know, MySpace. You know, I got with Chippendales, like I said, around 2005, and then 2006, MySpace blew up. But for me, like just getting on their website and having a forum page, and then coming off tour, and you know, going to the library and checking my, you know, forum page and communicating with the women, you know, that see me at the show, and they would post up pics, and it wasn't like selfies from a phone. I mean, I know this sounds so ancient, but it was like the old type of cameras that, you know, you wound up, the disposable kind, and then, you know, you would get your pictures developed, and then they would, you know, however they got that up online. I was so computer, you know, illiterate back then. I didn't even know how to turn a computer on. It was just kind of a nerdy thing to me, really. I had no desire in it. And then Chippendales had made a MySpace page for me, and some girls kept asking me like, hey, why don't you accept my friend request on MySpace? And I didn't even know what it was. I had to get somebody to sit down and show me how to get on, you know, my MySpace page. And then I got inside there, and the thing had been up for, like I said, probably about a year. And I had thousands of friend requests from all these different girls. And I remember going down on the friend request list, and I'm like, oh, I remember this girl. And then I would click on her page, and there'd be pictures of me and like, you know, the show and some of the other guys and stuff like that. And I remember seeing like some of the profile pictures, like me after a show. And I'm like, wow, this is insane. And, you know, I went viral on MySpace really before it was a term. And after 5 years of touring with Chippendales, I had close to 250,000 friends on the MySpace platform. And obviously I went out and I got a computer like the next day, and you know, the whole thing kind of took off. So yeah, I mean, I was, you know, right there in the very beginning of, you know, the whole internet media craze with all this. And, you know, what it's turned into now is, it's insane. It's hard to keep up with, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now, going from there, you started to do stuff with mainstream actors. Can you say like who you've worked with?
Yeah, sure. You know, I hate dropping names just because it sounds like really douchey, but let me drink water here. Yeah, I mean, I can name some names, sure. So how the whole thing kind of came about was, after Chippendales, I started up my own review. I took about a year off. It was like the longest I took off in the business, and you know, just kind of came back home and focused on some family stuff. The economy really went bad. Yeah, that whole 2008 recession finally caught up with us around 2010, and there just wasn't no more shows. And you know, it was like, all right, this was a fun ride. And I started up my own show, and that first Magic Mike movie came out, and it really, you know, gave the business a big kick in the ass. I'm sorry, can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, bro, for sure.
Okay. So it gave it a whole new breath of life. And I was only, a year or two from, touring with the Chippendale group. And I had a lot of promoters and clubs and stuff just kind of calling me up. Hey, let's get a show together. So I said, all right, cool. Let's do that. And all the other guys were just kind of chilling at the time anyways. That was how I, put my show together. And then the second Magic Mike movie came out, I can't remember when, like 2014 or something like that, maybe. And some girls had tagged me in a post and said, hey, they were looking for like extras that were like real male review guys and male strippers and stuff like that. So I said, all right, I'll go down and see what this thing's all about. So I drove from Cincinnati to Savannah, Georgia, and wound up getting.
Hey, it's me, your favorite comedian, Anthony Rogers. I'd like to tell you to get some XL Delta 8 hemp gummies right now. I meant to do this review last week, but I've been eating too many edibles. So go ahead and get these. Link in the description. 25 milligram, eat one or two. I've been eating them for about 3 weeks. They're pretty good. Go get them right now.
Guys and Joe, how you say his last name? I don't want to butcher it live on the internet. But all them guys were there except Matthew McConaughey because he wasn't in the second one. I would really like to meet him. But anyways, the following year, Film Cincinnati really like developed, basically, I guess is the best way to say it. And they started bringing a lot of movies here to the area. And I thought, man, I'm gonna go down there and see what's up with this. And I landed another little like extra, like this was more of a featured extra role with the guy from Entourage, Vinny Chase, his name, Adrian Grenier. I don't want to butcher his name either. Real cool guy. It was a Bruce Willis movie, and big wrestler guy Dave Bautista was in it. And anyways, the next year after that, the same producers that made movies called The Marauders. It was a really fun experience. The same producers from that were putting together the Gotti movie about John Gotti, the mob boss, where John Travolta and his wife, played John Gotti, and his real life, his late wife, very nice, sweet lady. She played Victoria Gotti, I believe that was his wife's name. And I landed. That was my first big break. It was my third film, and that was my first actual like real role, I guess you could say, where I'd done something other than just sitting there. And I played a hitman, and I shot one of the main characters in the movie, who was high-level confidant to the real John Gotti. And that was just a trip. I never expected, to jump into something like that, like, right out of the gate. And I started getting some other, pretty good roles and some stunt double roles. And, I met everybody from Colin Farrell to Nicole Kidman. I worked on several Bruce Willis's films. Anthony Mackie, Frank Grillo. I shot a scene with Marcia Gay Harden. She played Christian Grey's mom in 50 Shades of Grey. I worked on a film here called The Public with Alec Baldwin and the late Michael K. Williams, and it was an Emilio Estevez film. I feel like such a douche dropping all these names, but I was pretty much in there with the who's who of the upper level of Hollywood actors, from the past and present. And I was rolling along with that and booking my show and doing really good with things all the way up until COVID. And then obviously, that's, changed a lot. I'm not going to boo-hoo like, oh, COVID ruined this and that. And I'm fortunate I did get COVID. My son had it rather. And, we were able to recover and everybody be healthy. So, that's pretty much all I'll say about that. And, just rebuilding myself, rebuilding my brand, reinventing myself with things, and just trying to get my name back out there. And I appreciate you letting me come onto your podcast. I know you got a big following and fan base, and a lot of people that want to come on your show. And I want to thank you and Nadia as well for mentioning my name. I know her by her real name. I promise I won't say it on purpose. Like, calling her Nadia is a little different to me, but if I call her by her real name, just edit it out.
For sure. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, man. Like,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
that's crazy, man. It seems like you. I don't know, man. Like, that's gotta be wild going through that, like whole like just as a lifestyle stuff. And it definitely seemed like a smart hustle in your 20s for sure. Like you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What better way for a young single guy to meet girls, which was my MO back then. And then it just happened to turn into something that was, a business and I, felt I was, really good at one point in time and I enjoyed. So, I mean, it was definitely a blessing.
That's crazy. Definitely life
And it took me
experience.
around the world, I mean, I went all over US, Canada, Europe, through the Caribbean. So, I mean, I have no complaints about it. I'm not one of the people that's like, oh, I got in the business and, I got all messed up and this and that. Like I stayed away from drugs. I've never smoked cigarettes. I occasionally, drink, a glass of wine or something like that. I still work out and take care of myself. And, I stayed away from the dark side of things that, people can venture into and really anything. I know people that work in corporate America and they're, they turn out just terrible with things. It comes with that stigma of like, oh, you were in this lifestyle doing this and that, and you're a bad person or this or that, and it couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. I'm very devoted to my family and kids. It's just all about the choice that you make along the ways, no matter what you choose to do in life.
Yeah, I happened to Google like Chippendales and stuff just to like kind of refresh everything, and everything that came up was like they're doing that documentary about the Chippendale murders, and I had no clue that even happened. Like I was like, what is all this?
What is that? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's like all over the internet, and I didn't even realize. So what is your take on that? You'll have to explain it to them. Just a little brief.
Yeah, so that was all like way before, my time within the company. The documentary that they made on Discovery Plus about the early days and the two owners coming together and then splitting up and murder for hire, and one owner had the other owner killed.
That's
this is a very tragic and sad story.
Owner of what? Like the venue, like a venue owner, or the owner of the Chippendales, or what owner was killed? Like I'm unfamiliar with the story. Like.
Yeah, so it was the two owners. I'm trying to think of their names. One guy's name was Steve, and the other guy was Nick.
Oh, owners of like the Chippendales like, franchise, whatever.
And Nick DeNoia. They had a E2 Hollywood story come out like right before or when I got with Chippendales, and we used to get asked that question a lot. It's been a long time since I've talked about it, but I did watch the documentary, and basically you had two guys. You had a business guy. You had the choreographer talent guy, and the two business partners split, and the one business partner, Nick, took the troupe, and I believe they went over to Europe, and the documentary would be able to tell. I said that wasn't my day or time, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything, or say the wrong thing about that, because like I said, I wasn't around back. This was in like the 80s and 90s. I was still just a kid. But basically you had a disgruntled owner, and he turned really sour about things, and he hired a guy to go in and shoot this guy in his head in his office. I believe it was up in New York City. And then the FBI was basically tracking him down for however long it was. Don't quote me on, but I think it was like 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. And they wound up, I believe, catching this guy over in Europe on a sting, and they got him in a hotel room, and he admitted while another guy was wearing a wire about hiring him or whoever it was to murder his business partner. And I mean, I say that I don't mean to laugh about because it's not funny. Just trying to remember the whole story. But yeah, it's just fucking wild, man. It was insane. Like a lot of people just think that we're whatever, but there's such a wild history with this business, even going back to like being tied in with Playboy, and the documentary goes into about another guy who was around in the beginning. And that's why they call it the Curse of the Chippendales or murder mysteries, because there was like 2 major murders that was involved with the people that started this thing up. Kind of like some, old school mafia type of shit, really, to be honest with you. But it was definitely sad and tragic, and thoughts to the family members, that are still around, having to deal with all that stuff. And I'm sure, a documentary coming out and them having to relive all that, that may not sell too well with them or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, when I got with the company and the group, it had reached like kind of an iconic level and name at that point in time, and all this crazy shit that happened before. They set the world on fire with, what they done in the 80s and in the 90s, and then it got rebranded by a guy by the name of Lou Pearlman, who was around like in the early days of like Justin Timberlake and what was the NSYNC group and Britney Spears and all them. He was the guy that, brought in all the choreographers for that. So, I was there in the rebranding of the whole company in the early and mid 2000s, and it was a hell of a ride.
And that.
Yeah.
So did you guys ever get in trouble? Like, sometimes when you're on tour, do you have any wild stories like that? I mean, for the most part, was everything pretty good, or?
Yeah, I got arrested off the coast of France once.
That you what?
I got arrested off the coast of France.
Yeah, that
So,
would be
yeah,
fun.
there was a little bit of trouble. We were on tour over through Europe, and we was doing these islands through the English Channel. People would try to swim and cross it to some drunk guys back at our hotel, which was kind of a common occurrence, especially in the States. But the guys would just be drunk and maybe give us a couple dirty looks. You can give me all the dirty looks you want, or, mumble something under your breath when I walk by. I really don't care, because I dealt with, a lot of people just being haters early on, and I just shrugged a lot of that shit off. But, when you come up and you put your hands on me or like one of my friends, and you take it to that level, I'm going to do what I got to do or what I have to do at that point in time. That's basically kind of what happened with this. A guy sucker punched. He was drunk, sucker punched a friend. A buddy went over to, jump in. The guy hit me. I hit him. Another guy jumped on my back. We went to the ground in the face. He kind of stopped, got up, went back up to my room. I had on, jogging. Actually, we went back to the hotel, and I took a shower, and I came out, and I didn't have on a shirt. I just had on pants. I got up from this thing, and my butt cheeks were hanging out. My shoe fell off, and so they were trying to say that I went down there and, started this fight, and I had my shirt off, which was true, but, I just got out of a shower. I didn't go down there trying to get in a fight. Like I said, my pants fell down there, and all. It was kind of comical, really. But we definitely, got the better of them guys, and all their friends that were there just kind of witnessing this thing, these drunk guys just being belligerent. They said the opposite. And me and the other two guys were on this island off the coast of France called Guernsey. And we had to get with the U.S. Embassy. We had to get with an attorney there on the island and basically like beat a case, because they were, trying to say that we were going to go to prison up for like, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that.
Yes, man. Now this diversion. Live and on direct. We are highest conspiracy in this mother. Watch your mouth. Yeah. And this one's called Good Day. Right here on Anthony Rogers. Best day. Podcast in a blood clot world. You hear? alive. Well, it's a good day, better be. Again, baby, I got it better than I promised. Thanks and praise to the Most High that brought it again. All on you, to make those dreams come true. It's a beauty in the day and the night, chance just to learn from this life. And free from the problems and the troubles that keep holding us down. 'Cause it's found in the present, this very moment, stop waiting around. It's a good day, better be alive. It's a good day, better be alive. It's a day, better be alive. It's a good day, better be alive, alive. Live to work, work to live. Punch that clock, no more blood left to give. Chop, boss feel rich up, but them workers them poor. Digging them graves. We say 6 feet more. That's what them do, we said that's what them live for. Changing in this time society can't afford. Teaching at the time and that the man can't afford. And if it's negative, society must afford. That's why we swing it positive, man, like a sword. Ready for battle, cause man, this is war. That's what we do, we said that's what we live for. That's what we do, we said that's what we live for. It's a good day, better be alive. It's a good day, better be alive. It's a good day, better be alive. It's a good day, better be alive, alive. Rhythm, please. It's a good day, and to be alive, alive. Strictly original, Anthony Rogers, best damn podcast in the blood clot world.